Well, hello. So, today we're going to be looking at the Acolyte, Kelnacca, written by Cavan Scott. So, there's this old Jedi, Master Yazion. He's proper old and dying, and his apprentice, Ardea, is a bit stressed out as to who is going to train her when Yazion finally pops his clogs. And Yazion's all like, yeah, I was worried about that too, when my master died. So, it's time for a flashback to a century before, at the wreckage of the Starlight Beacon. Little Yazion is all panicked and stuff because his master has died in the crash. So he goes up to another Jedi, Master Elzar, and he's all like, don't worry about it, the Force will sort you out. And then the big ass Wookiee Jedi, Kelnacca, appears, and Yazion looks up at him like, oh god, are you my new master or what then? Anyway, it turns out Kelnacca is part of the relief team, sent from Coruscant, sent to help out with the crash, and Master Eldar's like, stick with him, he'll sort you out. And Yazion tries to talk to the Wookiee, but he's having none of it, and he walks away. So then we have another little time jump to a year into the future, and Kelnacca is going savage with his lightsaber. He's having a whale of a time, taking down all the bad guys, all the Nihil. He is just going apeshit. And some Padawans are all like, Christ, look at that Wookiee go, that's awesome, we ain't ever seen a Wookiee before. And they ask Yazion if it's his master, and he's like, yeah, but he doesn't really say much. And then the kids, rude little shits, are like, never mind the Wookiee, what's with the writing on your head? And Yazion's like, oh, it's nothing, don't worry about it, crack on with what you were doing. And Kelnacca looks at Yazion like, ah yeah, he's a cool little dude, him, you can tell. Anyway, a couple of years later, Christ, we're doing some jumping around here, Yazion's in the Jedi Temple, just like reminiscing over a hologram of his old master. And then Kelnacca comes up beside him like, what's all this? And he says sorry, and like, I'll shut it off. Kelnacca's all like, whoa, hang on. And he spotted the head tattoos on the hologram, and how they're similar to Yazion's. Then back with old Yazion, he's like, I had my first master's name tattooed on my head. And Ardea's kinda like, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And Yazion says it's like a respect thing, and that he had it done when he popped back home not long before his master died. In fact, his master walked in mid-tattoo, and Yazion thought that she was going to go sick at him about it. But she actually kind of liked it. In fact, she jumped in the chair and had a tattoo of Yazion's name on her own head, like to say cheers. Old Yazion said he tried to explain all of that to Kelnacca, but apparently Kelnacca wasn't all that interested, so he just shut off the hologram and walked away without saying anything, which is a bit weird. Yazion said that Kelnacca didn't really have to say anything though, and then we jump back to another flashback, this time with Kelnacca and her saving these little mole fellas from a burning house before they get crossed. So they get the little mole fellas out of the house, and Kelnacca's like, you need to leave too, Yazion, and he gives him the evil eye. And Yazion's like, okay, whatever, I'll leave you to deal with this mess, so off he goes. So Kelnacca escapes before the house starts to collapse, but then one of the little mole fella kids is like, we need to go back in and save the droid, because it's got photos of his dead mother on there in its databanks. So Yazion's like, ugh, okay, simmer down, I'm on it. And Kelnacca's all like, say what? So Yazion goes all Terminator-y and walks into the building and comes back out a few minutes later holding the droid. And the little mole fellas are over the moon, they can't believe their luck. And Kelnacca just stands there and looks at him. You can't quite figure out what a Wookiee's thinking, but it's good. And then Kelnacca whips out his lightsaber while Yazion's trying to explain why he went back into the building, and he cuts off the little rat-tailed Jedi apprentice braid thing, meaning Yazion's a knight now. So that's good. So old Yazion's like, so there I am, a knight, and he asked me to do something important. And Ardea's like, oh aye, what's that then? And Yazion tells his apprentice to go and ask Kelnacca herself. She turns around, shock, big reveal, there's Kelnacca, and Yazion's well pleased that he's popped in before he dies. He bloody loves it. Then, no sooner has Yazion said hello, then he dies. Aww. Anyway, Kelnacca picks up the body and heads off out of the door, and Ardea's all like confused. It turns out Kelnacca was taking Yazion's body outside so he could chuck him on a fire and have a little service for the old Jedi. Well, I say old, he's dead. Then, as they stood there around the fire, Ardea sees that Kelnacca has writing tattooed on his head, just like Yazian had. Then we flash back to Yazian doodling on Kelnacca's head as a little mole fella watches on. Then Ordea's like, oh, I've got an idea, you can finish my training. But then she has a second thought and she's like, wrong place, wrong time, my old master's still over there, grilling. And then she hears Kelnacca's lightsaber ignite. He only wants a practice duel with her to see how good she is, so Ordea's like, okay, game on, cool, I'm up for that. And as she charges in, ready to fight, she calls him Master, and Kelnacca's like, oh, so we're doing this, are we? Okay, sounds like a plan. And Kelnacca and Ordea are the new Master and Apprentice. The end. So yeah, there you go, that was the Acolyte Kelnacca. Let me know what you thought of this comic in the comments down below, and be sure to pick up the real actual comic because it is good, and Kelnacca's awesome, and no matter what you thought of the Acolyte, Kelnacca is still awesome. So yeah, please give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe, and thanks for watching.